This is Tyler Jazz from BCR Music and Sound. This week I wanted to announce something very special. This is the beginning of my holiday tutorials. All the tutorials that you'll be seeing this month will all be single string holiday tutorial songs along with some basic chord melodies. So I also have a lot of questions about how effective online lessons really are. So I figured what better way to show you how effective online lessons are with me than to approach it like we're in a real online lesson. Everything you see and hear here is authentic to what you would get in a real paid lesson. Obviously, the only difference being is that you don't have me to ask questions to. This is just a simple tutorial. We're going to jump into tablature. All you'll need for this tutorial is a guitar, a pick, although you could finger pick this one, and making sure your guitar is in tune. So why don't you guys come on ahead, join me for this awesome tutorial of a holiday classic known as Jingle Bells. So we're going to start with what I like to call Section A. Section A is the main melody of Jingle Bells from measures 1 to 16. So today we're going to cover Section A and then we'll jump into Section B. So I'll just play this real slowly for you and then we'll talk about how we actually play this and what the dynamics are and what fingers go where. We won't be covering how to read tablature today. Obviously, you'll have to take lessons to learn how to read tablature or sheet music. But no matter what your skill level is, this one should be pretty easy for everyone to play. So here we go. Starting on measure 1. Here we go. Awesome. So that's what I like to call section A of the main melody. So this is the main melody. Eventually, as you know, it goes into a B section, and then it will come back and repeat jingle bells, jingle all the way. So this is how we're going to start this one. What I like to always tell my students, no matter how experienced you are or how much experience you lack, we want to try to break this down into small chunks and small bits. So the first small bit we're going to break this down in is we've got measures 1 to 16. That's section A, as I like to call it. And how we're going to break this down even further is we're going to take it 1 to 2 measures at a time. So starting with measures 1 and 2, what we have going on there is the high E string. So that's this guy here, the thinnest E string. And what we have is we have 2 quarter notes and a half note. Obviously, that's really important to know the timing. But if you know this song already, I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with the timing. So starting here on measure 1 and 2, we have jingle bells, jingle bells. So how we count that is just no, you don't have to put anything on the left hand. It's no frets. It's just an open low or high E string. And we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's just a repeat of measure 1 and 2. Did you learn that? Awesome. So you have measures 1 and 2 down. So what I also like to do as we get into measure 3 is let's talk about where the fingers belong. So when we start to fret notes, how I would look at this song is every time you see the 3rd fret, I like to play the 3rd fret with my ring finger. Every time you see a 1st fret, a number 1, I like to play that with my pointer finger. So going on to measure 3, we have quarter notes. So we're just going to count this 1, 2, 3, 4. So for example, measure 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or there was measure 4 with a whole note there. So if you watch us very, very slowly here, I'll jump out of this screen share so you can see it. So what we have going on here is we have this just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And obviously you can see how the fingers move. Open 3. Like I said, we're going to play that 3rd fret with that ring finger, and we're going to play the 1st fret with the pointer finger. Right there. So we have on the high E string, open 3. On the B string, 1, 3, open. Or open, ring, pointer, ring, open. So there we go. We have measures 3 and 4 down. So that's a great chunk to start working on, breaking it down in that way. So let's go ahead and play the first 4 measures together now. Here we go. Awesome. So right there's a great chunk to break up. So if you don't have that down, go ahead and rewind this video and go back through measures 1 to 4. Now let's get back to the sheet music. So let's go ahead and hit measure 5. Very simple. Once again, we have 4 quarter notes there. So we're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is all on the first fret. Once again, remember, first fret, we're going to use our pointer finger. Third fret, we're going to use our ring finger, and so on. So let's check this out. Here's measure 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just hitting that first fret on the high E string 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where we can get a little caught up there, is that we enter the next measure, measure 6, with a 1 on the first fret right there on that F note, and then we lift off to that high E again, that open high E. So that one might take some time to get used to. Don't speed through this one. This one is very nuanced. So if you miss it, you want to go back. You want to make sure that you correct it. So let's try that again. Measure 5 to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Cool. So I would practice 5 and 6 together. Jumping into 7 now, and this kind of rounds out the first 8 measures before we almost go into a close to identical repeat within section A. Let's go on to 7 and 8. So once again, keeping in mind that every time we see that number 3 there, we're going to use our ring finger. So let's go ahead and check that one out. And once again, we're using quarter notes here. So we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 7 and 8. So let's put those together nice and slow. And just to talk about measure 8 quickly, we have 2 half notes. So we kind of slow it down there. We use 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you'd like, you can use nothing but the ring finger there to switch between the B string 3rd fret to the high E string 3rd fret. I like to do it that way just because it's a nice slow transition, and it kind of just keeps in your mind nice and fresh. Every time I see the number 3, I'm going to be using that ring finger. So that's really helpful. So let's take it from measure 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. So let's play it slowly together, 5 to 8. And this time I won't do any counting. Let's just play together. And here we go. Awesome. So let's go ahead and break section A. Remember when I talked about section A, we have 1 to 16 with section A. So let's break this in half. So once again, kind of making it more consumable chunks for us to get down and memorize. So let's start with measure 1, and we're going to end at measure 8. Slow. Here we go. Measures 1 to 8. Awesome. So that's measures 1 to 8, breaking down that section A, 1 to 16, but this time we broke it down in half. Now let's look at the second half of A. So we're going to start right there in measure 9. I'm going to move my screen here. So we have measure 9 and 10. We start the exact same way. As a matter of fact, if you look at this, what's really cool is measures 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 are all identical to measures 1 to 6. So the only thing we're changing is measures 15 and 16. As you can see, the changes here, if you look at measure 7, that's completely different than 15. So the last 2 measures of the section A, so basically from 9 to 16, are different. Those are the only things that are different with section A are those last 2 measures. So if you know how to play the first 6 measures of the first half of section A, then you know the next 6 measures on section A part 2, so measures 9 to 14. So here we go. Let's go ahead and hit 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Once again, it's the exact same. So we're going to start the same. Jingle bells, jingle bells. Awesome. So that's the exact same thing that you did earlier. Now we're just going to end it a little bit different. Once again, keeping in mind that when we see that third fret, we're going to be using the ring finger. When we see that first fret, we're going to be using the pointer finger. So let's go ahead and take a look at measure 15 nice and slow. We're doing quarter notes here, and let's start that off. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, ring, ring, pointer, ring on the B, pointer on the B. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So as long as we get that 15 and 16, we can just restart. So now we've learned all of section A, the first half of Jingle Bells. So let's play this together. Well, I'll play it really slow. Here we go. Play along with me. Awesome. So that was all of section A of Jingle Bells. So once again, that is the most recognizable melody of the entire song. And now let's move on to section B. So section B, once again, we're going to break it up just like we did with section A. We're going to have two sections of B. We're going to have that first half of the section, and we're going to have the second half of the section. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. As we look into section B, we have a lot of different things going on here. We have some new timing going on here with a dotted half note. We have eighth notes back to back here, so we have things that are a little bit quicker. We also have a second fretted note here on the G string. Obviously, how we're going to fret this one is we're going to fret this one with the middle finger. So something that I like to tell students, and this is just a very quick little intro of how I like to tell students to finger certain songs, is just to do a basic approach. Most songs will follow this kind of basic approach. If it's within your finger reach, then this is how you would finger each song. So what I like to do is I like to do the approach of the chromatic scale. So the chromatic scale just being 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on, just separated by one fret at a time. So what does that tell us? The chromatic scale tells us where we put our fingers. So if we see a number 2 on the fret board, we see that there on the tablature. That tells us, oh, well, if I'm basing where my fingers will go off the chromatic scale, what finger is on the second fret? Oh, it's that middle finger. So pointer, middle, ring, pinky. Okay, so it's the middle finger. So it makes the most logical sense to finger it this way. Anyways, let's move on to section B here. And this will be section B of Jingle Bells. So once again, we're going to break this up with 8 measures at a time. So we're going to do measure 17 to 24. And then we're going to do a slight repeat there on 25 to 32. So once again, we're breaking it down in half. So we talked earlier about making the big breakdown in half for the entire song, section A, and then section B. And then we talked about breaking it down even further, a section A part 1, which was measures 1 to 8, and then a section A part 2, which was 9 to 16. So now we're going to do that again here with section B. So we're going to do 17 to 24. So what we got going on here is now we're going to incorporate that G string now. So now we're expanding to 3 strings. So this is kind of like a 3-string section. This section is a lot tougher, so definitely give yourself some time to learn this one. So looking at measure 17, we have a nice open, and also we see that 3 and that 1. We want to plan ahead here as we continue to learn. So we see a 3rd fret, awesome. We use the 3rd finger, we use the ring finger. We see that 1st fret, we're going to use the pointer finger, awesome. Cool, let's take on measure 17. So right there, we went into 18 there. So as we look at 17, we're just going to do a little string skip here. We're going to go from G, open G, to open E, and then on that B string, 3 with that ring, pointer with the B string, and then we're going to end with measure 18 with an open G. So on measure 18, we have this open G. 1, 2, 3, 4, and right there's that eighth note, the 4 and. So let's count this all together. We're going to start on 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now let's do it without the counter. Go ahead and follow me. 17 to 18. Awesome, great. And if we look at measure 19, it's the same exact thing as measure 17. So looking at 19, we have the same exact fingers. We have that open on the G, open on the E, and then ring on the B, and pointer on the first fret of B. So 19 is the same as 17. So let's do 17, 18, and 19 together. So what we have going on there in 20, as we approach 20, we have the same timing going on. We have that dotted half note, and then we have the eighth notes. So we just count that the same way, but this time we're going to use that middle finger to drop down on that second fret of the G string, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So same exact timing as 18. So let's break that down. Let's go ahead and go through 17 to 20 now. Awesome. That's 17 to 20. So with 21, we're going to start with that middle finger, second fret on the G string. Once again, keeping in mind how we're going to use our fingers here. When we see that second fret, when we see this 2 right here in this box here, we're going to be using that middle finger. When we see the 1, we're going to be using the pointer finger. When we see the 3, we're going to be using the ring finger. Here we are with 21. We're going to start there with that middle finger there on the second fret of the G string, and we're going to count it with quarter notes once again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have a nice little movement there. We have this 2, 1. So we're skipping that B string, then end up on that 1, that first fret, that F note on the high E string. So we're going to go, and we're going to end there on that ring finger. So 2, 1, 0, 3, and then counting it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one might take some time to get used to. So let's go ahead and do that one more time together here. And then 22, really basic, same thing we did at the beginning. Instead of jingle bells, we're going. So 1, 2, 3, 4, before we start to enter that new melody coming up here in 23. So let's go ahead and tackle 21. Awesome, great. Now let's move on to 23. 23, we're kind of going to expand our box now. Now we're going to break some rules. So we talked about when we look at certain fingers, how to apply certain fingers to the chromatic scale and what that would mean when we're looking at different fret numbers. So at 23, we kind of break some barriers here because now we're going on to the 5th fret, which if we look at our chromatic scale, I'm going to jump out of the screen share here. If we look at that chromatic scale, we don't have that 5th fret. We don't have 5 fingers. You know, we only stretch 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I like to do with that one is I like to move the ring finger down when we go 5, 3, 1, and starting that measure with that ring finger, 5, 3, 1. You can also start it with the pinky, but I usually discourage students from starting with the pinky for now, just because the pinky is the weakest finger. And as you continue to take lessons with me, we talk about how to develop that pinky strength. So let's get back into the music and how we approach the next measure. So looking at the next measure here, we look at, where were we? Measure 23 here. I like to slide down, like I said, with the ring finger. So I like to go ring, pointer, pointer. So pointer on 3, pointer on 1. Kind of breaking the rules here like we talked about earlier, but that's completely okay. Sometimes when we extend outside of our chromatic box, we need to break a few rules. So let's check out measure 23. Once again, it's in quarter notes, so it's nice and slow. This is going to be a drastic change for you because now we're getting out of that little box, that box between the open fret and the 4th fret there with the pinky. So now we're kind of jumping out of that box where we were. So be prepared for this one. So we're going to look at measure 23 here, and we're going to do once again, like I said, quarter note. So 5, 3, 1, 3, open. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So once again, we're going to go ring, pointer, pointer, ring, open. So we end with that ring on that 3rd fret, kind of returning back to that idea of chromaticism and chromatic, where we put our fingers. So we're ending there on that 3rd fret with the ring finger. So let's try that again. So that's a great place to end for our second half of section B, our second half of the second section, or first section of B. So here we go, going into 21. Let's start with 21 again, and let's kind of just recap those 4 measures. Awesome, cool. So that is the first half of section B of Jingle Bells. So let's go all the way back here to measure 17, and let's take it nice and slow. Awesome, fantastic. Now, I want to show you a little trick as we enter into the second half of section B. It's exactly like section A. It's all the same thing except for that last measure right there in 32. So that is really cool. This is how we can kind of relate our ideas as we continue to go through this. How do we memorize? Have you ever asked yourself, how do musicians memorize music? What do they do? This is one of the things that they do. They look for relatable content throughout the entire song. What repeats, what does not repeat, and what changes. So let's talk about that real quick. We're going to look at measure 25 here. Look, 25 is the same as 17. 26, same as 18. So it's all the same up until measure 32. So the only difference is we have measure 32 ends on that 1st fret of the B string, whereas 24 ends on that high open E. So let's go ahead and take on 25. If you know how to play 17 to 23, you already know 25 to 31. So once again, going over the same exact thing. So right there, we just have that little ending that's a little bit different there, where we're going to end on that 1st fret with the pointer finger right there on 32. Awesome. So let's recap through all of B now, and then we're going to recap through the whole song and talk about how we cut that in half. So starting out that measure 17. No counting this time. So here we go. Awesome. So that was all of section B. Now we put it all together. Something I like to suggest to all of my students, though, is get each of these sections down together. Once you got those mini sections down, like the first half of A, the first half of B, and second half, and so on, then we talk about getting it all together and putting it all together. So let's put it together slowly. I'll play it one time slowly for you, and let's play this together. And here we go. I'm going to move my screen out of the way here. And we're going to start up there on measure 1 on the top left. So no counting, let's play together. Section B. and then you just repeat right back into the main chorus. Jingle bells. So you can just repeat into that and go on forever and ever and ever and kind of carol with that whole thing. So just to make this a little more valuable to you and a little more valuable to our tutorial, let's go ahead and do this with the full screen. You get to see me, you get to see where my fingers are, and we'll go through the music here. Unfortunately, I don't think I can do a split screen here with the sheet music, but that's completely okay. Wanted to just kind of show you what this looks like on my fingers on the fretboard here, and we'll just move on from there. And you just repeat from there. Jingle bell, jingle all the way. And so on and so forth. So once again, thank you everyone. I'm Tyler Jazz from BCR Music and Sound. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Once again, these are kind of a one-time only thing. We're only going to be doing this for the month of December. Obviously, if you want to learn more, you want to learn about tabs, you want to learn about sheet music, reading music, how to play, how to sit properly with the guitar, how to pick some more advanced techniques like sweep picking, tapping, pinch harmonics, things like that, you can go ahead and just send me an email, or you can hit the book now button here on the Facebook page. So until then, I hope to see you guys on a Zoom chat soon, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Rock on.